Jeff Monken is the coach at Army. He was talking about when the Army-Navy game gets played, which has been considered holy sacred ground in terms of college football. When does the Army-Navy game get played? Well, you have your championship weekend, and then the following weekend, the day you give out the Heisman Trophy, that Saturday, you play that game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. It's in D.C. or Philadelphia or in the Meadowlands. It is a spectacle. It is beautiful. Sometimes it is snowing. Lots of people watch it. Millions of people watch it on TV. And it has been considered one of those things you cannot touch. So this is a very interesting comment from Jeff Monken to Seth Emerson of The Athletic. He's open to potentially playing it on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, a big comment. Godfrey, I know, has a lot of knowledge about how the placement of this game and when you are at, one of these military institutions saying that you're going to move this game. I went to this game for the first time this past year, and it was like the pageantry and the atmosphere was everything it was hyped up to be. And so for him to come out and actually say this, it was pretty jarring. But we know for two reasons. One specifically, they've got to find a way to move the game. And that's because they're going to expand the playoff eventually, and they want to use that weekend for playoff games at some point.
Well, and the other piece of it is, even if they keep the playoff this number of rounds, a lot of people would like to move the schedule. And we had Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech coach, on my On3 show last week, and he said, stop worrying about all these crazy things you need to do to move the portal to the spring. And this, if you can get the season over with by the first week of January, it solves a lot of the other problems.
Football is supposed to be played in the first semester. And every other division, like FCS, they played their national championship on January 5th. Like, it's amazing that we can't do that we haven't figured that out yet. And so what I would do is I would move 0 week. So this last year, everybody would have played August 23rd. And we would have played it out like that. The conference championship game would have been on Thanksgiving. That would have been a great Thanksgiving weekend. And then you start playing the playoffs the next week. If you have a bye, you have a true bye, just like it is in the regular season. It's a bye. And then you're playing every 6 to 7 days. And if you did it that way this year, you actually would have had the national championship on January 1st.
So Joey McGuire's thing is move week 1 to where week 0 is now. He said, so this year you'd be playing games August 23rd. Everybody be playing games August 23rd, which moves the championship weekend games to Thanksgiving weekend, moves the rivalry weekend games to the third weekend in November. And the thing is, what Joey McGuire, what Monken says makes sense, because they want the 4-hour protected window still. Well, if you put that 4-hour protected window on Black Friday and you have conference championship games or play-in games or whatever the conference commissioners want to do with that weekend, and then the next week you start the playoff.
Yeah.
You could theoretically get the game. Like this year, as Joe McGuire pointed out, the championship game would have been January 1st in that scenario. Mm-hmm. You could make that work.
Not sure we'll ever see that, but
yeah, I think they would like to stretch it out maybe one more week after that if they could.
All these coaches, they all agreed, right? I remember Dan Lanning said this to me back at Pac-12 Media Day back in July. Move up everything and have the championship game on January 1. I think the most hope is to have the semifinals on January 1. That's probably the most realistic.
That'd be fine. Have the semifinals January 1st, and then you have it, the championship game the following Monday, whenever, another weekend Monday.
The Mondays. Like, I know that's not the point of the segment, but like ESPN's never going to let us get out of that Monday nonsense, are they?
No, especially not now, because ESPN has Monday Night Football. The point is Monday Night Football ends. You get a playoff. You get the national championship game.
They won't do it on New Year's Day, Andy. You're right. They'll make it the Monday after the end of the regular season.
The Monday NFL playoff game, the Monday night NFL playoff game might be going away too.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way,
the NFL is a part owner of ESPN now.
Pac-12 Media Day was Big Ten Media Day. Want to make sure everybody knows Oregon's not in the Pac-12 anymore.
You won't piss anyone off on the West Coast. That's fine. Yeah, a lot of things here. One, I want to acknowledge that the fact this is being said out loud by a sitting Army head coach indicates to me that they're having a lot of discussions about this at West Point, Annapolis. And I've known Jeff Monken a long time. He's a pretty calculated guy. I don't think he would just go out on a branch and say this without having talked to the myriad superiors that you have when you're a football coach at West Point. The impact of this game moving is not like any other game in football, period. The amount of individuals who are involved in this, from the Pentagon to the Joint Chiefs to the massive amount of DoD contractors, like there's so much money, power, and influence in that stadium when this game is played. It is a really, really big deal. However, I do think that the athletic directors and the people who are responsible for the athletic programs at these two institutions know their days are numbered on having a completely unrivaled weekend. They're acknowledging that privately. They're having to message that inside their own sort of networks in a very delicate way, because there's a lot of people. It's kind of like how the Ivies and like school presidents are completely naive and don't understand sports. You have a different version of that within the armed forces, and they don't understand that where Army Navy actually kind of ranks in the college football pantheon. It's a very delicate situation because people get really pissed off in the military world. But my guess is that if Monken is saying this publicly, it's being discussed internally. All they really want is an unopposed slot. And I said this to Andy last night when this news came out. I think it's possible that for the first time ever, if you walked in and planted a flag and said, Andy, what'd you say, Black Friday primetime or Black Friday afternoon?
Black Friday, 3:30.
All right, 3:30 on Black Friday. The NFL will respect that. The NFL is now a part owner of ESPN. Like, again, we're closing the ownership circle tighter and tighter. I do think that the NFL would respect Army Navy and stay off of that spot. They're not going to care about the egg bowl
on Black Friday, but I don't think they want more of Black Friday.
There's a lot of college games on Black Friday too.
There are.
You're talking about college.
But if you're doing this,
but they wouldn't be on Black Friday.
Vacuum. Yeah, they're not doing this in a vacuum. They're not moving it to Black Friday just for
they would not have an opposite
Black Friday.
Nebraska, Iowa. What this would either be the faux championship weekend. That's probably the best thing you can do, except they are both American members.
Right. That's a weird thing. If one of them is in the American championship game, which they have been.
Right.
So that's the other issue, because if championship weekend is that weekend, they can't participate in the championship game if they're playing their game. So that's the other part you got to figure out. But like what Joey said is fine, but ESPN and Fox are not going to move. Like, Fox is not going to move Michigan, Ohio State, or allow it to be moved. ESPN is not going to allow Alabama, Auburn to be moved to another date unless they know that there's enough inventory to cover that weekend and keep them whole.
The only modification I would make here, Andy, is that we do everything that you're saying, everything that Joey McGuire said. Army and Navy want to play ball. That's great. We also get rid of conference championships. If we do that, we have enough space to breathe.
That's the plan, but you have to have inventory that weekend. So whether that's like conference championship games or play-in games or bracket busters, whatever that the Duke Michigan basketball game in Washington this weekend was great. How cool would that be? Like, two teams that are kind of on the cut line for the college football playoff get together and play on that week.
I know that something I experienced this year, and I went out and like talked to people in the real world, not other college football reporters, because we're an incestuous bunch sometimes intellectually. People were fatigued in late January about the playoff dragging on. This isn't just a complaint from school presidents or from coaches. I do think that we all live in different parts of we're all from different parts of the South. Ross is in DC, but that was his choice. When it's July and August. Sort of, yeah. When it's July and August, the demand for college football peaks. We all know this from running our various businesses and shows. And everybody gets their Phil Steele and everybody starts to freak out. Moving earlier into the August window, I think would actually bear a lot of fruit in terms of revenue, in terms of viewership. there is a fatigue point for casual college football viewers, and there are a lot, as it drags into the mess of January and the NFL playoffs and playing these games, these vitally important, world-changing college football semifinal games on a random Thursday night. That sucks. Right. I talked to Miami fans and Ole Miss fans. That
would alleviate, because if you've got the semis being played on January 1st, which is traditionally a college football holiday, then you're in good shape.
One thing we maybe didn't spend time with, and people don't probably understand, is the Army-Navy game as it relates to the playoff and sort of the discussion of what happened this past year when there was momentum, it felt like, to go finally to go to the 16-team playoff. And on that weekend of Army-Navy, there was a thought that the first round of the playoff, which really was going to be of a 16-team playoff, was going to be like a 2-game play-in game style deal. The 16 seed was going to play the 13 seed, and the 14 seed was going to play the 15 seed on Army-Navy weekend. And so Army-Navy, when that discussion was going on and getting pretty serious, Army-Navy was arguing, we need a carve-out so you can automatically exempt us from being a 14, 15, 16, 13 seed, so we can automatically have a bye into the second round or the old, the new first round, whatever you want to call it. And that probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, that's the line I would draw.
We saw the president of the United States the Saturday night before the college football playoff had their big meeting. All the commissioners had their big meeting in Miami. We saw him tweet out about preserving the Army-Navy game and about preserving the window, the 4-hour window. And I think that's because the Army-Navy folks probably knew they weren't going to get a carve-out to be exempt from that opening weekend if they made the playoff, if one of them made the playoff. And they were going to have to figure out where to play and move the Army-Navy game. So I think they've been thinking, Andy, all fall about where to move this game. And there was a discussion about week 0, to move the game to week 0. There's been a discussion about Thanksgiving, obviously. Why can't the game be played on Thanksgiving night and be the college game on Thanksgiving
night?
Could.
It definitely could.
Yeah, because Texas A&M don't want to play there anymore.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Nobody wants to play on Thanksgiving, I feel
Ross, I'm going to tell you right now.
That would be a great one.
The same people who went and whined to the president, who, by the way, just because the president tweets something out, actually there's a higher probability it won't happen at this point.
Probably.
The same people who went and tattled to Trump are going to absolutely throw down against being out of their homes and in Philadelphia or Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. You and I are veterans of the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
Most people, everybody wants to watch a good college football game on Thursday night. Nobody really wants it to be their teams, their programs, leaving on Thanksgiving to go tailgate. I think the NFL is going to. The other reason is they won't get a carve out that night, Ross. The NFL wouldn't move off of Thanksgiving night because of the viewership it's received. Yeah. So I think that putting it maybe it's Black Friday, maybe it's that Saturday. I think that's likelier.
It's hard to carve out, though. I was thinking carve out. I was thinking the 4-hour exclusive window for college. I wasn't even thinking about NFL.
Yeah, and they don't want to go against the NFL though, because that would
no. They and
a lot of their deal with CBS would be impacted. Surely
the NFL
is the only football game.
The NFL will not position themselves. They will not let this, even in the court of public perception, they will not let this progress to a point where it looks like it's the NFL versus Army-Navy. The NFL stays buku connected to the armed forces community for a lot of public posturing and pablum. You go up into the northeastern United States, the most popular apparel brand is that salute to service, like Giants, Patriots gear. The NFL will not position itself against the armed forces, and they will make sure that it doesn't even get that far. That's why I don't think it would be on Thanksgiving night.
The other piece of this, and we've talked about this on our text chain a little bit, and I think we brought it up on the show, but the other piece that makes this interesting that is somewhat new is the NFL and ESPN deal has gone through, where the NFL is now a partial owner of ESPN. They own an equity stake in ESPN, which makes the NFL partial owner of college football playoff broadcast rights. I think there will be more collaboration between the NFL and the CFP from this point forward, because it's in the NFL's business interest for that to succeed.
The NFL, which has The NFL, which has spent decades avoiding its minor league system and shirking responsibility at every turn, is now a partial owner of the college football postseason. So the next time ESPN PR wants to send me a tersely worded email about how I'm seeing ghosts about conspiracies, I can tell you where to put that email.
Where, Godfrey, where?
Say it one more time, guys. The NFL is now a partial owner of the college football playoff via a television network.
Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with.
But you're saying it like it's a bad thing, which ultimately may be.
No,
but
the NFL might be the most organized gangster on the block.
Because the NFL is the boogeyman.
Yes.
Yeah.
The NFL is, hey, they're corrupt as hell, awful, craven, Ray Rice, whatever. We can talk about James Pierce. Fine. They're also really good at organizing things. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, they're effective.
Yeah.
Like, let them get in here and suss it out.